Hopefully nice green light appears in the side of my screen very quickly. And Yahtzee, we're live. How's it going, everyone? It's your boy Izlogic.business welcoming you to the world's kind of Swiss qualification stage. I don't know what to call these, but they're classed as Swiss stage. These are the games that matter most, where best of threes are on the table, and you're either being in a promotion match to knockout stage, or a knockout game where you get sent home for the rest of the season. This is going to be a fun one. We've got LNG, we've got JDG, both 2-0, both going for the title, and they're both in this best of three. So 3 full games of LPL action is what you're going to be getting today. Looking forward to this one. I'm also going to do some quickie little cheatsy doodly things so that I can see things that I need to see. So, as I do the special switcheroo into the draft, I've got my door wide open, so there's a little doggy on my bed. It's a nice change to be early for our stream. Ooh, they think LNG 2-0. Now, this is the first time I'm seeing these games, because, of course it is, I've been asleep or warded. And as we get into draft for the opening part of this series, eyes are on the mid lane. You got Scout, you've got Knight, arguably the 2 best mid laners in the LPL this year. Knight, obviously, winning MSI with the squad. Scout, Summer MVP for the region. They're both very, very prolific players, and immediately JDG target out the Azir. A lot of success has been found on that pick. Through the 2 games LNG have played, not allowed to play is in this one is Scout. On the other side of the rift though, Alistair and Xayah removed out by LNG. Kaiser is up and available. I think that's kind of forcing Ruler's hand to go towards that pick. Because you look at the rest of the options, there's not many strong ADCs left available, and Kaiser has a very good win rate. But JDG kind of not falling for what could be considered a bait. Could be something that LNG are trying to force. But they're the ones that are hovering it right now, which tends to lead me to believe it's going to be locked in. Now, obviously, JDG locking in the Orianna for themselves. Control Mage pretty much is the name of the game at this current World Championship. And so, Ori, paired with the likes of a Jarvan, could do a lot of work. The normal bull delivery system of Rakan has been banned out, so Jarvan's there, Nautilus, Leona. Lee Sin's a fairly decent one, to say the least, the amount of hopping around he can do. But I'm not sure it will get locked in. There's a champion we've seen banned out quite a bit. Vi gets locked in for JDG. We didn't really talk about it on the other side of things. LNG have the Alistar. So they've got a very aggressive, we want to trade and fight with you early bot lane that kind of signals to me that they'll be going with an aggressive jungle pick towards the bot lane. I think Jarvan is probably the most prolific, and the issue for what I'm thinking is Jarvan's actually fallen down in priority. I didn't really notice it, but Rumble was banned out in the first phase by JDG, so they were clearly expecting a form of Jarvan comp. Now that the champion is slightly less powerful, it does kind of mean things like Lee Sin, Viego, or rise in priority, and that's going to be Scout Zakali. Oh boy. We're seeing a lot more of this champion at this World Championships compared to last year, and I love it. I love seeing great Akalis. We saw Chovies yesterday. He performed very, very well on that pick. And this time we're getting to see Scout, another top tier mid laner on the champion. It's always nice to see. Going into the second ban phase, we've got ADCs locked in on either side, so top lanes gonna be the name of the game for this ban phase. Zika and 369, both prolific players. 369, I think, has the wider of the champion pools, whereas Zika, he's only really shown his Jax and his Prio on it, showing a lot of success in the games he's got. Renekton removed off. Now, there is the option of banning out junglers here for JDG. They're not going to do so, they're going to ban out the Gwen, so a lot of carries removed from this top lane, but will we see a gauntlet thrown down by Zika? I think the Cassante makes the most sense. It forces JDG to not see too much of the draft. I mean, Lee Sin is a good actual pick, so you secure a counter. I keep forgetting that counter picks are name of the game on red side sometimes. Don't know why. It's just a fairly obvious thing though. But yeah, Lee Sin comes through. It's a counter pick to the buy. A lot more dashing. JDG need to show the full draft in this phase. Hovering the Cassante, I mean, it's stock standard blind pickable champion in the top lane. That title used to go to Gangplank, but now kind of can't say it, as Cassante has just risen into the meta and found a lot of success. Now, support is somehow the last pickup for JDG. They've let that go all the way through draft, and it's actually mismatch in terms of options here. So at least in Lulu actually locked in for the Zeri. That's a nice combination. I would have laughed if the Yumi got locked in, but I don't know if it's actually enabled for Worlds. I thought it was, so it would have been funny to have seen that. Anyway, that's a Camille. Throwing the gauntlet down is Zika. He wants to challenge 369 in the top lane, get early prio for himself, and just be a menace in the side lanes that is very hard to deal with as the game gets later and later into the 20 and 30 minute mark. But as I say, this series is gonna be thrilling. It's the two best LPL sides facing off against one another on the Rift, ready to go, and we need to lay out the early game a little bit more here. Simply put, we want to keep our eyes on the mid lane and the bot lane to some extent, but I think mid lane, Tarzan and Scout have been very, very dominant together throughout the years. They are a great combination of players that always have a great synergy in terms of setting up plays for one another. This game, I feel like we're going to be seeing that sort of style coming through, as Scout needs to be a focal I keep doing that, but he needs to be a focal carry for LNG if they are to pick up the first game of this series. I'm personally really hoping that we get an absolute masterclass on this Akali, and it isn't just one that falters early and then can't recover into the late game, because that is somehow still an option as we get onto the Rift. Finally, the trophy being shown. One of these teams maybe will be walking away with the Summoners Cup by the end of the month. Only time will tell, and you have to think, if you win this series, you're in good standing. Getting a higher seeding into the knockout stages is always a very, very beneficial thing, and that is why we're having these games. The best of threes decide whether or not if you're worthy to go into the higher seedings, and this one should be an absolute barn burner of a matchup, as standard start coming out from either side. JDG getting the early ward onto the Raptors camp, trying to mark Tarzan's start as well as clear. A counter ward was dropped there by Scout. just to dissuade any form of counter jungling out from the Vi. And as starts go, both on opposite sides of the rift. Blue buff starts for either jungler as 369 actually leashing early that blue buff. Not something you see too often nowadays is the leash from the top side. It's usually a solo start for the junglers on that buff, because they don't necessarily need a leash. But with a leash, it does mean that the clear comes out slightly quicker, and I like that a little bit more because you're able to match the tempo of the Lee Sin and or get ahead of him and go for an early play on your own side of the advantage. Because bot side, you already have level 2s ticked over for the bot lane of JDG, which forces Gala and Hang back. They're not able to get onto these minions as a bit of aggression coming out from the Zeri, throwing the Qs down. They're doing a lot of work. They got the nice chunk damage, chip damage, potions burnt from it, and we haven't discussed it yet, but the culls are picked up for both bot lanes. I love this item. If you know me, I talk about it consistently when it's in a game. Simply put here, it does lead to me to believe that it's just going to be a farming matchup. And that's kind of unfortunate because I expected blood in this bot lane. I expected heavy trading. But this is something I did expect. Mid lane being an absolute bath of blood, with Scout being the reciprocant of all the damage. As bot side, that's going to be the headbutt pulverize combo coming out, and the Lulu is being targeted down, Ignite ticking, but not able to kill her off. LNG get a bit aggressive, but they in the end are going to lose out on more CS, as the pressure can still continue to come out from JDG if they stayed around. And Ruler, he's smart enough to push the minions in and allow a reset for missing, who's back at bases mid. Scout TP back to lane with a full health bar, using that resource once again to try and even out some of the CS, which he's done quite well to keep very even on. The issue is his health bar once again is sitting at about half of its life. Now top side, we haven't talked about it, but this is going as well as expected. Obviously, we'll start to see as this lane goes on, Zika do more and more damage, as both tops have actually started Doran Shield, so they're not really looking to kill. They're not going for the pressure, they're just looking to sustain through the matchup and just make it to an even point, I guess. They don't really have the necessary kill threat until probably level 6, which I think the kill threat favors 369 a little bit more with the Cassante and how heavy he can trade. But yeah, that top matchup should stay in this awkward position on the Rift, but fairly even in terms of CST. Now, we haven't really discussed it yet, but junglers are starting to get out onto the map and look for plays as mid. That's going to be Scout dashing forward, dodges out on the Ori W, and JDG trying to get pressure, trying to get plays onto the Rift, but LNG responding in kind. Already in the bot side, forcing the Drake, it appears, as Tarzan starts it up. He's got Scout wrapping down. I think this is actually a beneficial play for LNG, because you're trying to force a fight. You've got the 4-man wrap. Obviously Scout has gone back to lane, so it would have been a 4-man. And I like LNG trying to force early. I think they are a more favourable team in terms of early fighting. It's certainly a lot better for them in the straight up 4v4 if you disregard top laners. When you have a Cassante there, it becomes slightly more skewed or more equal. But hey, I like this game so far. It's weird that there is a massive 1k gold lead in JDG's back pocket. That's purely built off CSDs in the bot and in the top lane. But as a whole, this is a really weird sort of start that JDG have somehow found early advantages that really shouldn't be present, because the mid lane I would have thought would have been where the most advantage is, but that's the most even matchup. Go figure. I don't get that. Anyway, taking a look at the Rift right now. First Drake of the game secured for LNG. Mountain Drake and Cloud Drake gone off the table. Bit unfortunate that the first Drake wasn't Chemtech and the second Cloud, because it still means that there's an opportunity for one of the weakest Drakes of the game to be the Soul. We'll find out what that is probably in 4 minutes time when the next Drake is spawning. And as a whole, I think we'll continue to have a farm game. Bot laners, obviously expected, just be farming. You've got Cools. Jungles, where we're starting to see the most, like, action as objectives are being started up. JDG just pulling the Rift Herald out of the pit. Not gonna start it up just yet. They're waiting for the roam down from 369 to start this one up. The LNG, both bot laners actually are in the bot lane. So it could be a full 4v4 brawl up here for this objective. Tarzan is in the area with Zika jumping onto Nave, who is going to be able to get away to cease and desist, locks up the target, and First Blood goes over to JDG. The Orianna Shockwave finds the kills, and the fight continues to go forward as Kaiser has made a way to the top side. Tarzan, he's getting aggressive, getting killed off, however, in the end, and Lulu's here. The polymorph forces Scout into a bad situation. The Herald was secured by LNG, and they're not able to pick up the eye. JDG, they get themselves 4 kills. As watch this bot side play. Gala and Ruler 1v1 fight. Killer Instinct forward. Zerial traded. And it's just an easy rundown for the Kaiser. She's got more damage up front. The shielding as well means that it's going to be a very close 1v1 that Gala wins out on. Then here on the top half, it's just locking down Zika for the Shockwave First Blood. That's what JDG get. Then they're like in a retreat pattern. Missing does work here, by the way, to make this fight so much better for JDG. As all of LNG are getting run down. Scout gets the nice auto attack boost. Gets that looked like he was getting the Herald, but he didn't pick it up. And so JDG deny the Herald that technically they started, but they get themselves 4 kills to 3. The bot side's going to be a little bit of an issue for him, however, as Gala is starting to get ahead or even in that matchup, because he is still behind in CS. And I think that's going to be a bit of a bad situation for the ADC as he's dove under the tower. Ruler slays in the Shockwave, denies the TP. That is a huge play out from JDG to kind of shut down a winning side in the Rift. The side that's got kills in isolated 1v1s. You kill that area and JDG, they've got firm grasps of this game. 3k gold lead sitting at 11 minutes in. It's a nice one. And you got to look at how that is reflected in items. as the mid lane, we're starting to see a full build-up on that Liandry's for Knight. He's had a very good start to the game as well. Shockwave finding right targets to get first blood as well. And that is huge for the team. I think what we're ending up seeing is very, very good in terms of this start, considering the prio they put on the Orianna pick. I like it overall in terms of how it's setting up the team. And with the fact he hasn't died yet, that actually is going to be the crown picked up. As topside, Zika, hookshot, tries to get him away to safety, but he is locked up, isolated, and the all-out forces Scout down. Very low, the Ignite was ticking, not able to get a kill. That's a lot invested across either side, and no one dies in the end of it. LNG in a weird situation here where Scout uses his TP top to try and respond to the play. Whereas you've got also a TP from Knight, which he used to go topside. You've also got flashes down on 369. And no one else, really. It's quite a bit of summoner usage by JDG for a relatively unlucky tower dive, I should say. But you have to keep in mind, I said LNG are the better team early game in terms of execution. JDG probably outscale a lot better than what LNG do here in this game. And I think that's important to note, that with the fact JDG are winning early game, this game certainly does not get any easier for LNG, as Scout's going to have a harder time trying to get into the backline, considering he's probably going to be peeled off by the Cassante every time. And also the fact that if he goes in, he's just going to get polymorphed, as that's a lovely kick onto the Zeri as the wild growth comes through. The Zeri is keeping herself alive. The Kaiser going forward, gets the kill off, and Lee Sin tries to get more. In the end, it's going to result in a 1-for-0 trade where Gala finds another kill. That was a great fight out from LNG. They utilize a pressure point on the map. They utilize their overstack to get themselves a kill onto arguably one of the best targets to get. The fact that Ruler really hasn't been able to get going with this Zeri really signifies the fact that this game, or this bot lane, becomes a lot better for Gala. Now, I have seen he's gone for the Kraken Slayer build, so it's kind of an interesting build to say the least, as it's the more AD orientated build. I would have thought maybe he'd go a bit more hybrid-y, so that he can kind of deal more damage, because you've got a lot of AD as topside. That's going to be Scout caught out. He uses the R1 to get away, but the cease and desist chases him down. The Ori uses the ball to get the kill, but the Lee Sin's coming in to respond in like a massive shutdown goes over to LNG, as that is the kill on tonight. Now the fight is still continuing forward. There's a lot of scurrying in that top lane, but in the mid lane, Gala's been left alone, left isolated on this tower. He's going to pick up a couple of plates for himself. He's using the evolve in a bad situation. 369. Oh, and the fail flash. That forces a TP out from Scout, as Gala misses his summoner usage. You hate to see it, as a bad time to evolve one of your abilities as a Kaiser is in the middle of a lane. Anyway, JDG get the sums out from Gala, and while that has happened, they've taken full reset here. That does mean LNG have free reign in the river, get themselves this Rift Herald, the objective that they technically killed in the start of the game. Will they secure it this time? Yes, they will. Finally, something going in their favor. But I haven't actually really noticed this. 2 Drakes to none for LNG here in game 1. They've got Chemsol, yikes, as their prize if they're able to get 2 more Drakes. A minute 40 until the next one spawns. So you kind of have to think that there'll be a lot of setup for this next Drake in the upcoming few seconds. As we watch this again, Knight goes aggressive, Shockwave, just to know where Scout is. It was a very unlucky miss with the Vaiku. If that landed, it would have been an easier kill. But then, because Knight stepped on the tower, he takes aggro. He gets hit by 1 blast, and that means it's an easy time for Tarzan to get the trade of kills. Both mid laners fall. It's more beneficial to LNG the fact that Knight was on a killing spree and it got shut down. But as it stands, 40 seconds until this Chemtech Drake soul point for LNG if they get it. And apart from the Scuttlecrap vision, LNG have firm control of this river. A lot of vision control set up, the control wards in the sides to deny any sort of entrance or unknowingness for JDG. And so it's in an awkward position for them who want to try and get into the river and get themselves some vision lines down, which they've surprisingly done a decent job at while we were discussing this point. But LNG, they've got an advantage, a tempo advantage to say the least, as Herald's dropped in the mid lane, TP burnt by 369 to join up with the team. Now the beginnings of a fight could ensue. The mid lane tier 1 becomes the target for JDG. They're going to pick this one up for free, essentially. Lee Sin lands a Sonic Wave. Not going to press the advantage. And look at where Hang is. He's hovering around the spot side, providing Zika some backup, as well as the ability to peel away any of JDG. Now, that's going to be tested here as 369 has caught him out. The chase down's going to come through from Kanave and from 369. Ignite used, not going to do much as Hang, he headbutts in the Vi towards the tower. Flash burnt as on the bottom half. They all chased while LNG secured the objective. That seemed like an overcommit and a half from JDG, who just get punished on the play. Objective secured, soul point secured for LNG. And this is looking very, very good for the LPL 3rd seed, whom, while very little gold separates them, they are behind somehow. But they are getting these big, impactful objectives. The fact that air being secured allows for them to get more strength, get more form of power with the basically permanent stats these objectives provide. And I'm kind of impressed that this game is close as it is. JDG, I'm honestly shocked that they've allowed literally every objective to go over to LNG. Like the first Herald, yes, you technically say they denied it, and they were the ones trying to secure it first, but LNG landed the smite, landed the kill on it. And while it has resulted in a gold lead to JDG off of that Herald play, they are feeling on the back foot. And so they're forced to kind of make these awkward group up plays to get towers. As they open up the top side river, they open up the top lane, getting that tier 1. They also have mid They've in fact got all outer towers down. And that is a huge thing for them going forward. Comparative to LNG, who only have the one bottom lane tier 1, you gotta feel that LNG may try to force the mid lane tier 1, just so it allows them a little bit more control for going towards the Baron objective. I think that would be the ideal play for LNG here. Because you look at where they're standing, you've got 2 in mid, 1 in the bot lane, you've got Akali in top, you've now got Tarzan and Hang hovering around one another in the red side jungle, ready to excuse me, roam down to wherever they're needed, as 369 actually gets a nice steal away on that Raptors camp. And JDG have control back once again. Now, while they pressured out LNG from the mid lane, JDG have given Zika time to push in the bot side. Cassante showing in the mid lane meant it was very easy for this Camille to get pressured down, get a reset off of this one, picking up the Warfield's core hammer. And she's looking to be building up that Ravenous Hydra. Obviously, with how the sweeping blade edge, or sweeping blade, whatever it's called, works for Camille, she's able to just get massive procs at the Tiamat when she uses it, and it makes it so that when you kill the minion wave, it just is an easy thing to do. But as we look at this game standing, what we should be expecting, well, in literally 50 seconds, we've got Chemsol for LNG as a possibility, and you've got to feel the game will explode at that point onwards, because there's not really been anything happening, as that ward does not spot out the one in the back of the pit. So LNG will have vision of this Baron take if JDG go for it. That's kind of a missed ward, or misplaced ward by JDG. And this Baron start, it's spotted, it's well aware of for LNG, and we've got Tarzan in the area. He's roamed around, he wasn't spotted, he's now revealed his presence. The Baron dropping below 4k HP. It's getting lower and lower. JDG are not stopping it, and they actually secure the objective, and the fight gets to break out here. Zeri doing Zeri things, gets to dive around, firing in shots, gets the kill onto Tarzan, and here is the rest of JDG picking off all of the LNG squad. The only man alive is Gala, and he's forced to run away. Everything that JDG wanted off that Baron flip comes to fruition, as Gala, he's being ran down. 369 chasing him back to the towers. A big fight for JDG as they get the Baron. They get themselves a denial of the soul, and they get themselves a lot of gold. This game is in their hands, and it is very, very hard for LNG to play it out from here, as this was just a 50-50 Baron fight. Alistar gets a nice headbutt pull on the bottom half, but it's just the fact LNG do not get onto the carries. They're not allowed access. 369 just playing bodyguard, pushing him back, pulling them into targets as well, and it's just an easy cleanup for the ruler, who was untouched as the entire fight ensued. He just stayed there, just doing Zeri things. It looked so clean for JDG, who are now getting out onto the rift. They already secured the mid lane tier 2. They want the top lane tier 2 now. And look at how many members are pathing up here. It's basically everyone. And Tarzan and Zika forced to run back towards their base. And this tier 2 is forfeit to JDG, who are just on this victory march, you have to feel the only thing LNG can really do at this stage is deny the minions and allow themselves some form of pressure on the Rift. And that form of pressure is coming out from Zika, who's pushed out the mid wave. The bot lane is being pushed as well for LNG, but look at this walk forward from JDG. Unrelenting, they've just taken one wave, and one wave only, into the Nexus turrets of LNG. They're continuing the victory march. The Baron is up for another 30 seconds. TP finally comes out from Zika, but it's too late as Tarzan falls. And now Hang, he looks very low. Force a headbutt in. He's going to be next kill. You have to feel it on the bottom of the fight. That is the Cassante doing Cassante things alongside the Zeri doing Zeri things. Finally, one member of JDG falls as the kill goes over to Gala, but the Nexus towers are gone, and Ruler, he wants the kills. He sees the Kaiser. He gets on top of him. The stopwatch denies the trade as Gala dies, and so does Hang. The base of LNG crumbles as JDG take game 1. A great opener to this series. We were saying it was back and forth early. It felt close. But let's be honest, once JDG used the gold, they took the fight at the time they needed, the game was over. There was no fight back for LNG once the Baron was secured. It was clean League of Legends out from the JDG squad. And somehow, the series went to a third game. LNG fought back in game 2, which we're GOLing, because why not? Also, fuck you, BLG KT. You ruined it! You ruined it! Anyway, let's get into not BDS, damn one. Here we go. Game 2. Take a look at pick and bans. Callista Vi Ornn from LNG. Standard bans. Alistar Poppy, the second rotation. Whereas JDG removed the Azir, the Ori this time, who they ended up on red side, by the way. Rumble, Nico, Ari. So a lot of mid bans got thrown out by JDG. That's actually 4 of the 5 bans. Kind of nice. Similar story on the LNG side of things. It's 4 jungle bans coming out from them, and somehow Maokai ends up being picked up by JDG. It's Jarvan Maokai. Oh, that KDA for Scout looks deadly, and that really looks like a bad game from JDG. I'm glad we're not breaking this one down, because look how low the KD is, or kills for JDG is. It's low, and that's not that massive for LNG either. It's just a steady snowball. It's just a firm control game for LNG. It looks like there weren't really any opportunity to fight for JDG. So basically, whenever the first fight happens, or the first play happens, it's when the game gets secured. That's a lot of plating for LNG off the... Wow. It's just a load of plates. Plating leading to more gold, meaning easier kills. Yeah, that's a yikes, honestly. The first kill is 16 minutes into the game. And that fight just decides it's in mid lane. No, it's around Herald, sorry. And then it's just kills across. JDG can't fight back because LNG have just outscaled them. That's a very dominant game, it looks like, from LNG. Which means we head into game 3. I'm personally intrigued how the draft shapes up here. JDG back on blue, LNG on red. No surprises there. I prefer blue side as a whole, even though teams are kind of prioring it a little bit more for the counter pick. But hey, LNG back on red. What is going to be their standard band? Kalista, Xayah. This is looking like the same band from game number 1 as Maokai Azir removed by JDG. What else? There was a Rakan ban out from LNG in the first rotation. Will we see that come through once again? I'm not entirely sure we will. I don't think it gave over too much of an advantage allowing that pick to come through. JDG ban out the Alistar, so this will be a different sort of draft out from JDG and LNG in the second game. Third game. Ori gets banned out, which means Kaiser kind of rises in priority. That should come through. You have to feel it does mean LNG get the Rel, they get the Rakan if they want them in their first rotation. It also means that Jarvan, Lee Sin, these sorts of junglers raise in priority as well. And Kaiser, obviously, very powerful. Vi, I keep forgetting that she's raised in priority as well. She's seen a lot of play here at this World Championship in this main stage. Ahri, locked in for LNG as well. Kind of surprising that that's locked in here for Scout. As mid lane options, they're still there. And Nico is one of them picks that has been played when it's available. It's seen a lot of time banned out by teams at this World Championship. And I think with it coming through here, we should see possibly a very, very explosive draft from JDG. I kind of would like a Jarvan for them in the second rotation, because Rakan should come through. It's a very dominant pick with Nico and Kaiser, and so it gets locked in. LNG, pick up the Rel maybe. I think that would do some nice stuff for them. Nautilus technically as well. I do think it would make sense for it to come through. That would be a aggressive bot lane pick for Gala if that Draven was locked in. But it is instead the Tristana. Still the same aggression. Still the same sort of playstyle. You want to get the damage down and get out as soon as possible. And Tristana, obviously a very prolific turret killer. I like this pick overall for Gala. And so we're now at a stage where top laners make it once again into second ban phase. Ornn removed once again from 369. He's not going to be allowed to play that pick at all during this World Championships. So sad that a tank top does not get to be played. So insane that that is a pick that gets banned here. But JDG, you have to feel probably going to target out the likes of the Jax, the Camille again. For LNG, they found some sort of success on them as the carry-orientated tops probably will be removed. Renekton, I think, will be next to be banned out by either side, to be honest. And we're going further and further down the totem pole of strong tops. Unless you're BDS, where you've got Garen, Darius, Set, and Olaf. Renekton, as I say, removed from the field of play. Now, last ban, that's the interesting one. Do you ban the Camille? The Rumble is also up and available for a ban. I think that would still do work here in this comp for LNG. Maybe even JDG. They go Jarvan Rumble for the last rotation. And they're actually going to ban it. Okay. Jarvan Rumble would have been my ideal combination of champions for JDG to round out their draft. But obviously, they know Zika, very powerful carry top player, not gonna allow that pick to go through. And so, we're in a weird one where there's not very many options in that top lane. As Nautilus comes through, we expected that. What is going to be revealed here by JDG? got to show the entire draft here. I think you show your jungler first, and then you go into your top. Give less time to LNG to figure out how to draft against your comp. That's the smart option. But what will JDG do? Wukong being hovered and actually locked in. So it's a similar sort of style that the Jarvan can provide, but it has more AoE in terms of locking more people up with 2 usage of the Cyclone. So I like that overall, and that cannon would work. But I think you're more likely to see the Aatrox. It's just a sustaining top. 369. He's a bruiser player through and through. I like it overall for him. What will LNG do to respond to it? The gauntlet has been thrown down. I think if this was a PDS, it'd be the Darius, but it's not. And it's Zika. He's hovering the Cassante, and it is going to be locked in for LNG. As a whole, their draft does scream safe. It is a very safe draft from the LNG team comp. They've got a lot of peel with the Ahri and Triss having good options of escape themselves. They also have heavy engage with the Vi and Nautilus getting in, and then you tag it up with follow-up engage with the Charm, with the Cassante Q3, or all out if he's in range for that. There's a lot of good combinations of abilities here from LNG to get kills and burst the targets out. On the other side, JDG have a similar sort of story. It's a lot of champions that have good initial engage. The Rakan there with the Wukong to get in on top of targets and burst them out. You've then got the follow-up damage from the Nico, who can technically engage on her own right with the Pop Blossom. And you've also got the mass amounts of damage the Kaiser can do from range. I like both comps. They both have a similar sort of style where team fighting is the key to success. There's no real split push threat in this game, unless you class 369's Aatrox as one. But both teams want to group up, they want to fight you, and they want to do the deed of winning. Win, and you're through to the upper knockout stage. You're into a higher seeded placing. You've gone undefeated through the Swiss stage 3-0 in terms of series results. But hey, that can only be given to one team only after this best of 3. JDG and LNG gone for a standard fan of 5 out. No deep wards placed as of yet. Kind of expect them a little later before the minions have spawned. You get that in so you can get your next ward or sweeper active as Nave. Not gonna go for the deep ward. Not gonna ward the Raptors like he did in game 1. It is instead gonna be Knight doing the thing on the Nico, pretending to be the Wukong. So ward's gonna be put down, and the ruse of the Wukong gonna be given up. They know now it was Knight doing the ward play. I mean, it was pretty obvious it was Knight from the get-go, but yeah. JDG getting themselves some vision control onto the Raptors camp, and look at the pathing Nave is taking. He's wrapping round, trying to take away some of the LNG jungle. I like this overall. The red buff steal won't be known about, and with how he pathed and knowledge of where Scout warded in game 1, this is not going to be known about. And look at Tarzan. He's pathing up towards this top half of the river. And then Nave just uses the clone to get out. It's a clean path for him. Now, he's gone buff to buff, so it means he's still got the rest of his top side to be cleared out. And I just seen the pings coming out from JDG onto Tarzan, who's going to find out in a couple of seconds that his red buff has been yoinked. There you go. He's seen it, and he's going straight onto a... He's also thinks that his Krugs have been taken. Oh, that's unfortunate. He thinks what Wukong's done is gone full thing. He's now going to realize his Krugs haven't been taken. JDG are aware of where the positioning of the Vi is as well. And this is a slight, just me commentating on what's happening in the jungle. But this is clear as a flash trade comes through from both mid laners. This is just very unfortunate for Tarzan, who didn't realize his Krugs were still available. It's allowed for Nave to get this sort of aggressive jungle path where he's able to get all 3 buffs and not feel punished at all. And I love this for him. He's using the time, obviously, for his red buff that he stole. He's using the full potential of it as bot side. Triff's going to rocket jump away. Buffer on that one was very good from Gala. It meant he did not take enough damage as Ignite, thrown down by Hang onto missing. Taken very low is going to be the Rakan, but will not be killed off just yet. And LNG positioning aggressively. They're looking for a fight, you have to feel. As Vi pathing down here. It's got the potential of a 3v3 from either side. TPs aren't available unless you're a knight who can only TP to the tower at this stage. But yeah, look at the positioning. LNG, well, JDG are aware of where the Vi is. Somehow they know that she's on her Gromp, because pings were thrown down onto her. Oh, they got a ward down. That's how they know. This is perfect. Perfect early game from JDG. It's keeping Tarzan in their vision. This is clean. I've also not moved my camera over to there. Yikes. I really need to learn to do that better. But, simply put, this has been a great early game start for JDG. It hasn't amounted into gold leads just yet, but it has meant that they're able to play with aggression when necessary. It means that they've been able to play with safety when necessary, and they haven't been punished. The big issue for them is obviously a lot of things are being burnt out from their kits, as the bot side for LNG keep going aggressive and using their ignites and stuff, and there's very little in terms of potions for the Rakan. So if he gets hooked up, like in the next coming seconds, probably could result in a kill. But JDG back it up. They go to the river. They secure themselves this Infernal Drake. A very quick Drake, to say the least. 5 minutes on the clock. Herald isn't up yet, so there's the possibilities of a full contest here. And Nave, he's got a camp lead over this Vi. You have to remember that he's who stole away the red buff. Now, Tarzan getting trade back. Gonna take away the Grump. Kind of a nice steal away for him. It isn't the same sort of premier thing as a red buff, but it's still a steal away of a camp nonetheless. Gonna keep that CS relatively even. And so, with Harold spawning in a minute's time, these two teams probably gonna start to roam up here. The supports in the mid lane already, they're looking for a fight. They're looking to get any form of aggression put down on one another. Now, taking stock of items. No calls this game, so nothing really to tell. It's just standard rushing of builds by either team. They're not really thinking, hey, we can get a fight here. Well, I think they're both looking bot side to get fights, get early aggression down, but like, it's not really their prio. As that cannon minion, it's kind of a bit bait. It looked like it was Nico for a second there. It wasn't actually who she actually is backed up all the way to a tower. It's going to be the ward. Trinket picked up there for missing. Fully upgraded that to stage 1 where you can put down wards as the aggression comes through from JDG. Going forward, the Buster Shot was used by Gala. Not going to get a kill. Missing, taken very low, however. And he's forced to back away, and JDG, bit of an issue now in the spot side, because that's a full reset coming out from missing. Ruler is isolated, forced to run away from the wave. And LNG now secure themselves push in that bot lane. Back to mid we go. Nico doing Nico things. Throwing out the clone. Just trying to deny vision, deny pathing for Scout to get over to the Rift Herald, which should be started up here by Nave, which he actually has done. The response coming out from the Vi, spotted as she went over the wall by missing. And this could be an issue as Hang coming round to join up with his jungler. Not going to get jumped on just yet. There's 3 members of LNG in the spot side. TPs are available to JDG to respond to Rat Brown, but 4 members have come down here. That's going to be Dev Charge out. That is a 4-man dive for first blood, and LNG get themselves on the board. They're looking for more, as that's going to be a double kill over to Scout, who's ticking down. Not going to fall in the end, and that is huge for LNG's early game. Getting the kills onto the bot side map means that they're able to continue to apply pressure down here throughout the rest of the game. And while Ruler was able to keep his flash, he's certainly not feeling safe for the foreseeable future as top side. Aatrox versus Cassante, they are trading out aggressive. Q3 dodged out there by Zika, not wanting to take a mass amount of damage from this Aatrox, whom has somehow found a way to get a bit of lead. Here, this is just a great bait out from LNG, forcing JDG to misstep. Then when the depth charge comes through, knocked up into air goes both the bot laner and support for JDG, and so it makes the dive a hell of a lot easier once the Rakan is down, due to not being able to get really anyone charmed up that's of value. So, 10 minutes on the clock. I can't read. It's about a 700 gold lead for LNG after the first blood went over to them. JDG are kind of content with that, as they've actually got themselves a Herald dropped in mid to get the turret plating there into the back pocket of Knight. They're also sitting on an Infernal Drake. Ocean Drake is the next one, so not the most beneficial of Drakes in terms of openers. You kind of expect them to be more useful as souls, but it's still the possibility of a Cloud Soul, Chemtech Soul, and Mountain Soul, Hex Soul also there. There's a lot of powerful souls and a lot of weak ones still available, as missing could be jumped on here. That's going to be Scout not landing the charm. Great dash over the wall goes Rakan as the hook goes wide. Hang your head in shame, my friend. You are not able to get that one down, as Nautilus stepping forward. The depth charge is thrown out. The Wukong is caught out, but that Pot Blossom does work as 369 is here. He's killing off the enemies, as that's going to be the first kill over to JDG. But it's going to end up with a trade once more as Cassante shows up. That is a massive fight, resulting in an even trade overall by either side. JDG, though they lose out really on the trade they were hoping to win at, they still find pressure in the spot lane. Ruler did not join up in that fight, so he's able to get onto this tier 1 on the bot side, get some semblance of control for himself. He isn't able to secure a plate, but he is able to basically deny some CS in that bot lane. Now, obviously, with the fight being so drawn out and long, it has meant that the teams have gone full reset in some regard. JDG not going to go to this bottom half of the map, surprisingly, as the Drake is going to be secured here by LNG. Hexol is the prize these two teams will be fighting for now. And that is kind of a very impactful assault, to say the least, for each team. The extra burst that the Soul provides is going to be nice for whomever secures it. Obviously, both sitting at 1 Drake apiece. That's going to be a denial of the escape for Hang. He's going to be able to walk away just fine. It looked like if the Rakan landed a W there, he would have certainly allowed the Killer Instinct to come forward from the Kaiser. But anyway, this is just watching the Vi. Gets the full combo of her abilities onto the Wukong. And while she goes very far in, it does put her susceptible to the Pot Blossom, which allows for the trade to come through. Then it's just overstep after overstep by either side, who just go a little bit too aggressive, trying to get more kills than they bargained for. Anyway, as it stands, turret plating has fallen 4 plates to 3 across the board. JDG kind of happy, obviously they got first Herald. They used that to crack open 3 plates in the mid lane. And yet they do that, they're still behind quite a lot there. Scout sitting quite happily with a 600 gold lead over his lane opponent. And so we're kind of in a situation where the bottom half of the map is a losing state for JDG, whereas top side is where they've got their advantage. And look at the builds coming out from the Aatrox and the Cassante. Very, very heavy armor out from Zika's Cassante here. Frostborn Gauntlet into double cloth armor. It usually spells Bramble Vest for a second pickup once he gets his reset off. It's actually going to be his boots and Bramble Vest. I'm not wrong for once. But yeah, you get so much armor into him, and you look at the comp that JDG have. It makes sense to go full armor stack, as only really the Nico is going to have some heavy amounts of AP, so you won't need to invest into that just yet, as he is able to get to a fairly decent build point, I would say. Now, you are 15 minutes into the game with Harold on the plate, as that's going to be a mid lane fight, possibly brewing as Flash on Hang is burnt. He isn't actually playing with Hex Flash. That's kind of a surprise for this Nautilus. He is running Glacial Augment. Oh well. Won't really matter too much, I don't think. Haha. But yeah, both teams trying to position around this Herald, wanting to get that objective for themselves, open up some territory on the map. If you're able to secure that as bot side, we're seeing mid laners down there doing trades. Not really anything too special happening. Top side, just tops doing top things. And I'm kind of hoping we see a fight in the next couple of minutes. I think with the Hex Soul being the inevitable prize for these two teams, we should start to see more preface from either of them onto the Dragons, as Vi starts up this Herald. Where is JDG in this? They think stepping forward, not in time, however, as JDG give up this Herald to LNG. Now we should be seeing some heavy trades coming out from either side, because let's be honest, LNG want to force pressure to get this Herald down at an advantageous point, and with Drake spawning in 40 seconds, that's a perfect opportunity to use it. I think we'll start to see position towards the mid lane from either side, who want to kind of get an advantage themselves. Now, hello. My doggy's coming here. Now, this is the possibilities of a dive coming through from LNG. It's going to be spotted out there by 369, playing safe. Tower gonna fall. Hello. Hello, Mrs. Hello, little doggy. Yeah, that's a mic. But yeah, JDG, awkward situation for them, because they're falling behind as LNG just get themselves a Herald. They didn't need to use it in the top side to get the tier 1. They're just stepping forward into this top river. This isn't the objective, my friends. There's a Drake on the board, and I think they're finally going to path their way down there to get that one. Well, Tarzan is. In fact, he's going to just drop Herald mid now as the Everfrost tags onto missing. As Herald's dropped, it's going to get a crash out here, and this Drake going to be started up by LNG. The clone gets destroyed there. And now JDG feeling confident to step forward. TP in from behind as it's going to look to isolate the target. And that is a massive hook out as the Aatrox is put in the bounce house. Rakan trying to peel for his top laner, and he's somehow managed to do so as Ruler. First kill of the fight goes over to him. Nico gets another onto the top lane, and it's all 5 of JDG alive as they secure themselves their second Drake in what could be considered a very doubtful fight for them. It looked doom and gloom from the beginning with the amount of bounce that was put onto 369. I'm amazed he survived that entire fight. So we'll probably get a replay. I want to see why 369 stays alive. Yeah, hello. And my doggy here, it's a new little puppy. Hello. She's very new, and she doesn't know things yet. This is like her first time properly being in my room. Anyway, let's watch this fight again. LNG start up this Drake. TP fight comes through, and this looks bad for JDG because 369's immediately turned on putting the bounce house. He uses a Gore Drinker to get a massive proc of HP, and then the Q3 and Q2 and 1 out from the Aatrox just keeps him alive. Great peel from missing, honestly, using the quickness to get through, knock up targets to allow for more healing and sustain to come through for the Aatrox. So that was well done by JDG in terms of peeling for a caught out member. But that really shouldn't have happened. LNG just needed to not get too close to Aatrox, and they would have probably have killed him off. Or they could have just turned on to the other side and took a 4v5, ignored the Aatrox, or kept him away with a bust shot. It's just small things like that. As, Scout gonna be hit up by the Q2, force the Spirit to rush away, and LNG, you've got control in some areas, but you're in a bad state when you go into the Aatrox. This guy has so much sustain. He's already got his Stark's gauge. And looking at Zika's build, he's not really got too much to deal with him. Well, to deal with an eco. But JDG getting aggressive, pushing forward in the mid lane, trying to secure this tier 1 you have to feel, missing, hovering around, possibly threatening dives. It looked very dire there. I thought missing was going to get jumped on by Tarzan and Scout. Not Scout, Gala. But he does not. And instead, the Nico doing Nico things, reveals her position. Looked almost like we were going to see a Pot Blossom play out from Knight there. Won't happen, and JDG just backed themselves away into the top half river. They want to get themselves some control around this Baron, and that has been the way that they've been able to balloon open games and win, is just by securing the Baron. They turn to it whenever they feel like it, and it's usually in a bad situation. Like, they've been 50-50 in Barons and winning. And you've got to give a lot of credit to Kanave for securing the smites when needed most. But minute 20 until the second Hex Drake of the game can be secured. Oh, Knight, your presence must be known here. He shows himself, and that's somehow going to force Zika to be taken quite low. Takes a massive chunk of his HP bar. Scout trading on to 369. Not going to get any more kill pressure down as JDG, they're turning in. That's going to be Void Seeker landing. The flank is there, and the Ahri gets caught out, chased down, not launched into the air. Wukong, Q is coming through to shut down Scout. Big kill there for JDG, as no mid laner now is on LNG side. This push can come through. The pressure can be put down. They haven't really got many ultimates for this, as Nave just chasing Tarzan down, running him out of his own jungle, and the flank, the quickness comes through, the kill, Gala gets caught, and JDG find 4. They kill off LNG, and they get themselves to the Baron. A double kill picked up by Ruler. What a fight out from JDG to kill off LNG under their tower. TP coming through. It looks like we're not done just yet, as LNG forced to run away from the Baron. 369, the only member here for JDG, just keeps them away, and the Baron is the prize for JDG after picking off so many members of LNG. And while LNG trying to get some play for themselves, try and get some solace, some breadcrumbs back into the game, they've not been given it. And look at how far JDG are chasing into the bottom river, into the bottom jungle, and now into the bot lane with the tier 2 up. They're denying the Drake take so much longer than they need to. I'm surprised they've not just sent one member to take it. But then you look at the summoners, there's no TPs readily available to JDG, so they kind of can't force the 4-1 situation where they have 4 members pushing, 1 member on Drake. They can't force it because this happens as it's a massive catch out onto the Wukong, forced to status and shut down. Bottom half of the fight, it's going to be Hang killed off. That's a trade 1-for-1 as JDG in a bad situation. It's jungler for support the initial trade as the quickness is going to be used. They've got onto the backside. That is going to be the Vi, almost certainly killed off as Tarzan dies. Aatrox doing work. The shutdown though, it's a kill, it's a double, make it a triple. 369 finds 3, and that's the full wipe that LNG feel the pressure of. JDG get into the base of the Chinese 3rd seed, and they're looking to end the game here as Hang, he's dying under his own towers. This is Nexus Tower, his doomed to fall. JDG, they take one big fight and win the game off of it. Clean, clinical League of Legends as they take themselves into the knockout stages of Worlds. A dominant performance to end it out. The game felt nowhere near close as LNG just fall to the wayside and into the 2-1 bracket. Shush. Shush, shush, shush. And with that, I am ending my stream. Thank you very much for joining me today. Clean game. Tomorrow, we've got G2 Gen G. You don't want to miss it.